Nobody talks about what happens after you survive. Everyone celebrates the surgery, celebrates the recovery, says, wow, you're so lucky. And yes, I was lucky and I am lucky. But what nobody tells you is what happens up here in your mind. The anxiety, the identity crisis, the fact that you wake up every morning and all you can do is think about your heart. I'm Kyle Rust. I had open heart surgery at the age of 22. I had a near-death experience during that surgery. And this is the part of recovery that nobody talks about. The first thing that hits you, it's not the pain, it's not the thoughts, it's the anxiety. For me, this started long before the surgery ever happened. As soon as I heard the words severe mitral valve regurgitation out of my cardiologist's mouth, my life split in two. There's the before and there's the after. The before, I was a 22-year-old kid, athletic, healthy, no symptoms, no signs. I thought I was invincible. The after, I was laying in a hospital bed, knowing that my heart was failing me and with the thoughts of how long had it been failing me. The anxiety, that doesn't stop after surgery. That's what people don't understand. The surgery itself fixes the valve. It fixes your heart. But what it doesn't fix is the constant fear. Every single chest pain, and I promise you, there's a lot during that recovery, the thought goes through your mind, what is going on? Is there something still wrong with my heart? Every time you're short of breath, every time you feel fatigued, you think, is this it? Is it happening again? And I'd be lying if I told you that that ever goes away. Because it doesn't. You just learn how to live with it. But in those few months after surgery, that thought is constantly on your mind. I'd wake up in the middle of the night from nightmares of it happening over and over again. I'd wake up checking my pulse, wondering, is my heart beating correctly? And in that moment, I didn't know what correctly was. I didn't know what normal was anymore. And here's the crazy part. I'm a runner now. I run marathons, ultra marathons, mid runs, medium runs, half marathons, 5Ks. I feel my heart rate spike, but I've learned how to live with it. I've learned what actually is a problem and what is not a problem. But that doesn't mean for the split second that my heart rate spikes while running up a hill or while just running in general, my mind doesn't go back to that place when I was in the hospital bed and that thought of, is my heart okay? And that's just the anxiety. It's always there. It's quieter. The second thing nobody talks about or nobody warned me of before surgery is the identity shift, the identity crisis that you go through after surgery. When you're 22, you're supposed to be figuring out who you are as a person, how you fit into this world, making mistakes, feeling invincible. But when you have open heart surgery at the age of 22 and go through a near-death experience that rattles you to your core, all that gets stripped away. You're not the same person you were before that surgery, before that near-death experience, and you can never go back. I went from being this athletic, healthy, strong, active 22-year-old kid to being the kid who couldn't lift 10 pounds for 6 weeks, who couldn't go to work and do his job for 8 weeks, who had to sit on the couch and have people wait on him for 8 weeks. It's life-changing. It's identity changing. I remember sitting, walking around other people and flinching if somebody got too close to my chest. That's who I became. Not the happy, athletic, active kid, the fearful kid. And that took a long time to recover from. Honestly, longer than the physical recovery ever took. Because the physical recovery, that had a timeline. That had a structure. The mental recovery, it didn't. I think the biggest identity shift was this. I went from somebody who didn't think about death, then to someone who wrote a will at the age of 22 and had a near-death experience on the table. You don't come back from that the same person. You can't. And that's not a bad thing. Just nobody prepares you for it. Nobody prepares you or has a game plan for how to figure out how to deal with that. Nobody tells you, nobody warns you that, hey, you're gonna feel like a stranger in your own body, in your own life, for quite some time. Instead, all you get is, you're just lucky to be alive. Wow, you're recovering physically so well. Wow, you have it all put together, but nobody checks on you mentally. Nobody tries to understand what you're thinking and how you're feeling. The isolation is truly the thing that almost broke me. And I don't mean the physical isolation. I had people around me, my family, my friends, people who cared about me and cared for me. I mean the isolation of knowing you're the only person that you know that has been through something like this. At 22, most likely, none of your friends have had open heart surgery. None of them have written a will, planning out what you want to happen in the event of your death. None of them have had a near-death experience where they got to see people that they loved that were no longer with us anymore. None of them are waking up from nightmares that they're going through open heart surgery over and over again. None of them wake up from nightmares that they didn't live up to the vision and the dream that they got to see during that near-death experience. None of them wake up panicking, checking their pulse, wondering if their heart is okay. You try to talk about it and you can see it, the look in their eyes. It's different. You feel like the victim. They care, they want to help, but they can't. They can't understand what you're telling them because they haven't experienced what you experienced. But for you, you don't want them to, because I wouldn't wish this upon anybody, especially the people I love. That's the isolation. The isolation that nobody can warn you about, that nobody can understand unless they've been through what you've been through. It's the feeling that your experience is so special, so particular, so specific, that there's no one in your life that can meet you there, that can be there with you and truly understand. And that's actually why I started Heart and Hound. Not the screening mission side of it, but the coaching program. Because I know what that anxiety feels like. I know what that isolation truly feels like. And I know what it would have meant to me if I had somebody there with me who could talk through it, who had been through what I had been through, and we could share together. Not a doctor, not a therapist, not a family member, not a friend, but somebody who had been there themselves, a survivor who truly gets it. So I want to end with what actually helped. Not time heals all, because it doesn't. I want to get into the real stuff. The biggest thing that pulled me out of the darkest moments of my life was finding a mission. I took the worst thing that ever happened to me and turned it into the reason I do everything. Heart and Hound, the screenings, the coaching, the running, it all traces back to that. I can't unwrite the will I wrote. I can't undo the surgery that I went through. But I can make it mean something. And that has been the biggest healing moment of my life. And honestly, people thought I was crazy when I started to run after my surgery. And maybe it was. But pushing my body, proving to myself that it could go through hard things, was what rebuilt my relationship with my body. My heart wasn't the thing that almost killed me anymore. It was the thing that kept me running. And now I'm training for the Chicago Marathon. 4 years ago, I couldn't get up out of bed by myself. I couldn't walk to the bathroom by myself. And that contrast is its own type of therapy. And this last thing took, honestly, the longest. It was the hardest out of all of them. I didn't talk about my near-death experience. I didn't talk about the isolation, the anxiety. I just carried it. But the more I actually share on here with people who reach out, with other survivors, the smaller it gets. It doesn't truly disappear, but it does get smaller. It goes from this heavy thing that you have to carry day in and day out to this thing that you get to carry with someone else. And that's why I built the coaching program, because the isolation almost broke me, and it doesn't have to break anyone else. If you're a cardiac survivor, whether that be open heart surgery, sudden cardiac arrest, any cardiac event, and you're sitting in isolation right now, I want you to know these two things. One, what you're feeling is normal. The anxiety, the isolation, the identity crisis, all of it. You're not broken, you're recovering. And two, you don't have to figure it out alone. I built You Survived, Now What? Specifically for that reason. It's an 8-week coaching program for cardiac survivors. Not therapy, not medical advice, just one survivor walking through the fire with another. Go to heartandhound.site to find out more. And if you want to be a part of the mission, We're funding 100 youth heart screenings in Northern Kentucky this year in 2026. $79 covers one heart screening. One life that could be saved. The link will be in my description. It'll take you to the donation page. It'll take you to a page to learn more about me and my mission and to show you what we're doing in 2026. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I appreciate all the love and support from this amazing community. Remember, prevention has to be the standard, not the exception.